I'll start by blending a light blue by mixing lapis lazuli and lead white. Now I have the lead white because I have prepared the watercolors myself, but only after filming this video I actually found out that lead white is not very good to be used in watercolors. Although it is ideal for oil painting, it's not ideal for watercolors. So I advise you use zinc and titanium white, depending on what effect you want to achieve. The zinc is very transparent, the titanium is very opaque. Now I've started by painting the larger areas first. This is something that I need a lot of practice with, because I either tend to load the brush too much, as I have done here. Those blobs shouldn't be there, but if you don't load the brush enough, there won't be enough water to spread the pigment evenly. So at this stage, just practice with the loading of the brush, and yeah, you will notice that from the first area you paint to the last area you paint, there's gonna be a big difference in how you handle the brush and how you control how much to load it, and the pressure also. It's important in this technique. Here again, lots of blobs which shouldn't be there. And what I really should have done was to stop working and come with a dry brush to lift the excess of water. This is lesson learned for next time. Also, notice how the colors change as they dry. This is really interesting with the watercolors, especially with the handmade ones. They behave quite differently than from the others that you can buy in art shops. Here I'm applying lapis lazuli with yeah, just lapis lazuli, which again was a bad idea, but I've started and I thought, well, I'll just carry on like this and try to repair it at a later stage. Lapis lazuli is a very transparent pigment, and in order to make it shine and stand out, it either needs an underpainting first, or it needs to be mixed with white to give some body to the paint, so it covers the area properly. As you can see here, I was trying to make the lapis stand out a little bit, but instead all I've managed to do is lift the pigment. For these corner ones, again, I'm just using lapis lazuli with a bit of white. At this stage, all the colors you see on the page are shades of lapis lazuli mixed with different quantities of white pigment. I'll carry on with the painting of the large, they're not very big, but anyways, larger by comparison to the others. And the main focus here will be to get rid of those blobs. I am not so worried at this stage if I go over the lines, because this is just the first layer, and I can repair this with the later layers that I will paint. Now I have a bit of terre verte with lead yellow. Terre verte is again a very transparent pigment. It's not advisable to use it alone unless you want to apply a very light shade of green. So because of this, I have mixed it with a bit of lead yellow, which is quite opaque and covers the area very good. And I have switched to a small brush now, which again, I need to be very careful how I load it with the pigment. I want to have enough water in the brush to cover the whole area, but not too much because I want to avoid those blobs, and I want to cover the areas as evenly as possible. But also I need to bear in mind at this stage that I need to keep it light and transparent. The secret in traditional painting is not to mix the color that you want, but rather to obtain the color by layering colors and painting multiple transparent layers. That creates a very beautiful visual effect and makes everything mesmerizing rather than just flat colors next to each other. Now I'll carry on and paint all the tips of the stars with this light green. Not very light, but still lighter than their vert alone. Again, notice how the color changes as it dries. Very light now when I paint it, much brighter. And if you look at the star that I have first painted, it's quite a different color. I'll change now to a slightly lighter green with a bit more yellow in it. And again, notice how I'm not really painting like with the pencil. How to explain it? Um, I'm basically putting down a blob of water with pigment, and then I'm just moving that around to fill the area with the light strokes, and the pressure that I'm applying on the brush depends on how the pigment sits and how lightly I need to spread it. Be very careful when you're going over and over the same area again. You will need to do that for an even application of the paint, but you also need to be careful not to overdo it, because then you'll start lifting the pigment instead of adding pigment to make the color brighter. Next, I'm adding a bit of white in the mixture of green and yellow to change the shade slightly and make it a bit brighter. Now, I haven't kept my pattern in two colors. I want to play with the shades here to see what effects I can create with them. But the golden rule when painting geometry, if you want to obtain a beautiful effect and make the pattern stand out, you need to aim to alternate the dark with the white. This is not very visible here, but yes, I think in principle the idea is to always have a bit of contrast between the shapes, and that's what I've been trying to do here. Even though I'm using multiple shades of the same colors, I'm trying to always have a bit of alternating contrast. So the middle star is blue, and then I have some green, which at this stage is almost the same shade. But then I have the light blue. In between the light blue, I have now lighter green. And then I'm adding an even lighter green. I have added also a bit of white, not just yellow, to make the green lighter. And then it alternates again with the blue in the center. And I hope that makes sense. Maybe in one of the next tutorials I should keep it simple and only use two colors. Even so, now it already starts to look colorful at this stage, but I have not used a large palette of colors. At this stage, all I have in my painting is white, yellow, green, and blue. To color the interior of the stars, this time I have used yellow ochre, which looks quite brownish. I don't really like it, but for now, because I want to keep my painting beautiful and even, I have just painted them all in yellow ochre, and I will see how I will make them brighter with the next layer. Now I am applying terre verte with white. Again, really struggling to get rid of the blobs. And you can see I'm taking the blob from the center and I'm spreading it in all directions, aiming for no brush strokes at all and no blobs. I'm keeping the same color to paint the small four folded stars. Next, I have changed the filming angle, which was not an ideal choice. Unfortunately, now the paint shines in the light. But yeah, again, notice how I'm trying to spread the blobs. And I have used now for the final bit of the first layer, I've used again a bit of lapis lazuli mixed with white. But now you can really notice what I was saying earlier. If the shades are too similar, you no longer see the pattern properly. Next, I will use walnut ink. I have some dehydrated walnutting. I prefer the one that is comes is dry and comes in flakes, and then I add a little bit of water to it to make it fluid. You can buy the one that is like a proper ink fluid, but that one for me is a bit too transparent and it gets darker if it dries, and I find it much more difficult to control, and I try to avoid it and prefer the dry one that comes in flakes. Now I've thought I should go over the lines, but because I haven't painted in this technique in a while, my lines were surprisingly bad and uneven. And also, I don't like how the walnut ink, the color of the walnut ink interacts with the colors I have used in the pattern. But again, I have painted an area, quite a big area, before realizing I don't really like it. So now I just have to carry on and go through with it. So then I can come back with another layer of paint and repair it later, but it will look nice and even, whereas if I just stopped midway to change the color, then it would have looked messy, and I want to avoid that. Now when going over the lines to paint, ideally fine lines, not these thick ones that I'm painting right now. These are way too thick. You need to work with a dry brush. While I was filling up the contours, I wanted more or less water in the brush, so the watercolor was fluid enough to cover the area nicely. Here I want the opposite. I want to have a dry brush that will make very thin and even strokes. And this concludes the first layer. And I'm gonna stop here in this episode. And I hope you enjoyed it and found my instructions helpful. In the next episode, I will show you how to create beautiful effects now, after this first layer, and also how to properly outline your pattern. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, and hope I'll see you next time.